Welcome, take your seats, have an amazing day. I'm not Nadia, as you might have noticed, because Nadia, our amazing moderator, she will be here in like 10 minutes. She's still a freelancer. She still has some client work. And sometimes when you have some clients, you still have to work with them, no matter what. So she is finishing her call, and I'm like double Nadia. So I'm here for you for a few seconds. So, I have an amazing person to introduce today. It's Jomiro Eming, and he is a freelance designer and storyteller who transforms brands into creative, compelling, human-centered stories, and who I just love talking to. So there is a background story of how we met, and it's like really funny. I had a podcast conversation with a community expert freelancer. And this person thought, like, oh my God, you have so great energy. There is this person I want you to meet. And she like literally created a LinkedIn chat, and it was Jomiro. And then I didn't know that Jomiro was a speaker at Freelance Unlocked. And I saw that she connected us, and he's a speaker, and I was like, it's just meant to be. So we caught up with Jomiro, we had an amazing conversation, and I really, really love this person, especially the topic that he'll be talking about. And it's fear, self-doubt, and other superpowers in freelancing. So please welcome an amazing human, Jomiro Eming. Let's do it.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, if you ever need an example of how the universe works in weird ways, this is a great one, so I would recommend trusting it. Thanks so much. So this is an egg. And I'm pretty sure we all know that if the egg falls down, it'll break, because the egg is fragile. But this fragility is not a weakness or a flaw or a bug, right? It's a feature, it has a purpose. Without the fragility, the egg wouldn't crack, break open, and reveal new life. It's interesting, right? This talk is not revolutionary. This talk is just a reminder. And that doesn't mean you're not going to learn anything new. All I'm saying is I'm not presenting some groundbreaking scientific research that I've uncovered or something that only the best freelancers know about. No. This talk is just a reminder about something we all subconsciously know, something we all deal with on a daily basis, and something we all have the ability to do right now. We all want to be successful. Right? We all hope that one day we'll be able to sit back and the work will do itself. And I always thought that in order to achieve that, I needed more time, more money. I needed to work extra hard, work longer hours, that I needed to get a new app or read one of those self-help books that everyone else had already read before. But none of that actually matters. The most powerful tool we have as freelancers is not a new MacBook Pro, it's not a new CRM, and it's not a new book. The most powerful tool we have as freelancers is our mindset, right? Our perspective, the story we tell ourselves. And today, I want to demonstrate how changing my mindset around weaknesses, right? Things that I've been told are weaknesses, and reframing them as strengths has become my superpower in freelancing. Now, what do I mean by weaknesses? You know those voices in our heads? The ones that say things like, don't be scared, stop procrastinating, don't be lazy, don't doubt yourself. I don't know about you, but mine are very chatty. And the longer I've freelanced, the louder they've become. Not because I'm getting worse at my job, I hope not, but because freelancing is hard, right? Freelancing is weird. Freelancing is risky. And freelancing is unknown. And at some point I thought, what if these weaknesses weren't weaknesses at all? What if they weren't flaws to fix or mistakes to hide, but tools I could use, right? Superpowers I could leverage. So, what if all the things you thought that were dragging you down could be your edge as a freelancer? What if all the things you've been told are bad and should be avoided could push you even further? What if you could achieve everything you wanted to while being afraid, while doubting yourself, and while being lazy? Now, a quick disclaimer. Changing our mindset is the crux of what we're talking about, right? It is the million-dollar question. It is the hardest thing to do. And I don't know if you've tried to change your mindset before. I have, right? It doesn't always work. It can be quite demotivating. And this is especially true with weaknesses, right? Because we're dealing with very human emotions that are hard to control. And it's difficult because changing our mindset is conscious and it's costly, right? It takes conscious practice and it requires a lot of time and a lot of effort. So there is no silver bullet, there is no hack. And by the end of this talk, you're not going to magically have a retrained mindset, but you will have some idea of the potential that changing your mindset can have as a freelancer, and some new ideas for starting to change, to work towards that mindset shift. So, Alex Honnold is an American mountain climber, and he's best known for his free solo ascents. Now, free solo climbing, if you don't know, is climbing without a rope, without a harness, without a safety net, without safety gear. It's arguably one of the most dangerous forms of mountain climbing, and arguably one of the most dangerous sports in the world. And in 2017, he was the first climber to free solo climb El Capitan in Yosemite National Park, which is a almost 900-meter vertical granite rock face. I always thought you needed to be the bravest person in the world to do that kind of stuff. But I watched a documentary called Free Solo about his climb, and what struck me is that Alex Honnold doesn't claim to be fearless. Right? In interviews, he said he still experiences fear. It's there with him at the start of his climb, it's his climbing companion on the way up, and the fear is waiting for him at the top. And it's this ever-present nature of fear that I think is really important and really interesting for what we're doing here as freelancers. Right? His fear never went away. And fear is Alex Honnold's prerequisite for climbing well. Right? Fear is Alex Honnold's prerequisite for climbing well. And yes, in freelancing, right, the risks are not as intense. It's not like we're going to fall hundreds of meters to the ground if we miss a client deadline. But that doesn't mean the fear that we feel is any less real or any less common, right? It's the same biological response. So, if fear is this constant, right, that all the craziest people doing the craziest things and doing them all the time, if they still feel the fear, then surely this narrative of just be brave, or this pursuit of trying to rid our lives of fear is going to be fruitless. And we've grown up being told, you know, be brave, don't be scared. But in my experience, we need the fear. Right? In order to be brave, we need to feel fear. In order to take a step further, we first need to feel the fear. But how? So, fear is most commonly a response to something unknown, right? An uncertainty, something outside of our control. So if I'm climbing a rock face, right, I might be scared because I don't know what the conditions are going to be like when I'm up there. Right? I don't know if a rock's going to come loose while I'm climbing. But that feeling of fear releases adrenaline and cortisol, which are two neurochemicals specifically designed to heighten our awareness, heighten our sensory experience, and help us gain a clearer, sharper focus. And knowing that, right, fear can be an incredible multiplier if used in the correct amount and at the correct time. Right? Too little fear, and I'm not really stepping outside of my comfort zone. Right? There's no adrenaline, there's no cortisol. Too much fear, and I panic, I freeze. Right? There's neither of those extremes are useful. The trick is to catch fear the moment it happens. So if we circle back to Alex Honnold, he walks up to the rock face he's about to climb, looks up at what he's about to do, and the fear starts setting in. Right? We might experience this as like sweaty palms, heart starts beating faster, jelly legs, that sort of thing. But this fear helps Alex Honnold lock into his flow state. And you may know some athletes listen to the same playlist before a big competition. Right? It's the same sort of thing. So Alex Honnold uses this flow state, right? His fear springboards him into a flow state to help him hyper-focus on climbing. Right? Every atom, every neuron in his body is only focused on climbing. He's not thinking about what he needs to do tomorrow, next week, what someone said to him an hour before. Right? He's only focused on climbing. But what does this mean for us freelancers? How can we recognize our fear? How can we listen to the fear? At the start of my freelancing career, right, I only had a few clients, so every payment mattered. And there were a few times when I was really scared that a client wouldn't pay on time, wouldn't pay at all, right? That was scary. But that fear was also a signal, right? It was trying to make me aware of something. It was trying to tell me that there's a risk, right, before it becomes a crisis. And in that moment, I have a choice, right? I can either feel scared, stay afraid, try not to be afraid, or I can try to figure out what the fear is trying to signal, trying to make me be aware of. And in that moment, I realized that I was scared because I didn't have enough security in my system. I didn't have enough checks and balances. And so I spent an hour of dedicated time and put together a really watertight design agreement, right? With things like I literally only start working when the deposit hits my account. Some risky clients I work in chunks, so I invoice for each deliverable in a project rather than one big payment at the beginning, one big payment at the end. Maybe it's adding a high interest rate to late payments. Right, but in that moment of fear, all these risks are coming up, and I can use that to document and then figure out a way forward. So don't ignore the fear as noise. Right? Use it to find a clearer focus through this heightened awareness. Now, this next weakness, I think, is something we can all relate to as well. It's that little voice in the back of our heads that gives us all the reasons in the world we need to doubt ourselves. Right? Am I good enough? Imposter syndrome, call it what you want. Maya Angelou was a world-renowned poet and author. She wrote over 30 books, and she was really good. But whether she was publishing her first book or her 30th book, she said she always had the same ringing in her ears. Right? Am I even a writer? Right? Is this book even good enough? Who's going to read it? Is this the book where they're going to find out that I'm a fake? Her self-doubt never went away. Right? Sometimes it's quieter, sometimes it's louder, sometimes the things it says changes. But this is true for the most intellectual, the most successful people. They all feel the self-doubt. And I've seen this for freelancers in all levels of experience. I myself experienced doubt and self-doubt at the beginning of my career. Right? Why would anyone pay me? I'm not that experienced yet. And I have self-doubt now, 5 years, 6 years later. Right? Every time I take a step slightly outside of my comfort zone, or when my skill set is slightly being challenged, right, that self-doubt sinks in. And this is okay. Right? This is normal. If our goal as freelancers is to focus all of our attention and all of our energy into trying to rid our lives of self-doubt, it's like trying to get rid of the wind when flying a kite. Right? Yes, the wind can be annoying, but you don't need the wind gone. You just need to learn how to catch it. So, imagine this. You're about to jump onto a call with a dream client of yours, right? And the self-doubt starts sitting in. Am I even qualified enough for this? Right? Are they just going to be polite, but later on send an email saying that they found someone else? Am I wasting my time and theirs? Am I going to embarrass myself? A lot of people would say that this is just noise, right? Ignore it. You can do this, you've got this, you'll be fine. What I'm suggesting is that it's real, and it's a signal, and we should let it in and listen to what it's trying to tell us. So in this example, maybe, yes, I'm feeling self-doubt about my qualification, right? But I can ask why, right? Where is the self-doubt coming from? And I might realize that in the, project brief, they needed someone with team lead role experience, which I maybe haven't officially had yet. But now I have something to work with, right? Now I have a tangible thing that I can figure out if there's a solution for me. And in this example, I might start off the call with, so I looked in the project brief and I saw that you were looking for someone with a team lead role experience. Even though I haven't held team lead title officially, I have worked across multiple projects, across multiple countries, managing multiple subcontractors, and I would be very happy to talk you through some of those projects and the results I delivered. All of a sudden, I'm prepared, right? I've addressed that worry right at the beginning, and I'm not sitting in the call worrying the entire time that at some point they're going to bring up the skills gap question. Right? Self-doubt isn't a defining truth. Right? We can use it as a systems check to ask why something's happening, where it's coming from, and what we can do about it. In Maya Angelou's case, her self-doubt wasn't, is this book good enough? Maybe I should just quit. She leveraged her self-doubt, and it became, why am I so worried about other people's definition of success? Right? What does success look like to me? Who am I writing this book for? So don't try erase your self-doubt. Right? Use it to ask why, to find clarity, and through that, find confidence. Now, this last one is particularly personal to me. I consider myself quite a productive person, but I'm also really lazy. Productive, lazy, feels a bit counterintuitive. But I like to say that I'm productive because I'm lazy, not in spite of my laziness. And I'll show you why. So, story time. Last year, November, I worked on a project for Nordvin Festival, which is an arts festival, and they needed a rebrand, a new website, social media strategy for before and during the festival. And I mean, all of that's within my wheelhouse of stuff that I already do. I've also been working at Kampnagel Theatre in Hamburg since March of last year, so I had a pretty good idea of the arts and culture scene. And for me, this project was a home run. Right? It was all the skills I had. I felt like I had the good context. But they were a new client of mine, and there was obviously a lot of risk involved for them. So they needed a proposal, a full-blown proposal. All the deliverables, all the moving parts, risk analyses, timeline, that sort of thing. I'm motivated, right? I love what I do. It's not hard for me to stay up late at night working on creative projects. But my Achilles heel is proposal writing. I hate it. I don't know if it's because I'm a creative brain, but every inch of me wants to go straight into brand, look and feel, designing the user experience, doing mood boards. But proposal writing just isn't it for me. So yes, I admit it, I was lazy. And I heard my mom's voice, every teacher I've ever had, saying, don't procrastinate, just get the work done. But laziness is very interesting. And to quote Robert A. Heinlein, who's an American science fiction author among many other intelligent things, progress isn't made by early risers. It's made by lazy people trying to find easier ways to do something. You may have heard something like that before, but this is why I find laziness so interesting, right? Because laziness has the same ingredients as inspiration and innovation. Right, laziness has the same ingredients as inspiration and innovation. Right, so there's three parts. There's a problem. I don't know how to do it, I can't do it, I don't want to do it. That I don't know how to solve yet. Right? Mental fog, uncertainty, that sort of thing, which stops me from moving forward, from solving it. Right? That's that stuckness, that inertia. And it's in these three ingredients, right, that we realize that laziness holds innovative power. Right? Laziness holds innovative power. And my God, I'm not trying to advocate that every moment of laziness needs to be a productive one. If you need a break, take a break, right? It's fine. But there is potential in laziness if you want to use it. And in my case, with Nordvin Festival, right, I knew why I should write the proposal, but I didn't want to. And in that moment of laziness, I asked myself, what am I trying to achieve with the proposal, right? There must be an easier way to do this. And so I thought, let me try do this in conversation. So I booked an hour-long Zoom call with the client. We spoke around all their questions, all their concerns. I gave them an idea of some of the ideas I had for executing it. And by the end of it, they were totally stoked. They had the confidence they needed. Also, bonus, we had a really cool relationship building opportunity, which I wouldn't have had if I had just sent the proposal. And by the end, all they needed was a timeline and a pricing plan, which is much quicker for me to put together than a full-blown proposal, right? And this is where I had that epiphanous moment, right? Felt that epiphany from Robert, that being lazy really can lead to smarter systems. Heck, Google was even invented off the back of laziness. At some point, its founders thought, it's way too difficult to find stuff on the internet. There must be an easier way. And they invented Google. That's obviously the short form, but you get the point, right? Genius. And this is because laziness is insanely good at telling us that something's not working, right? It's too complex, it's too unnecessary, it's not fun. And it gives us an opportunity to ask, right? How can I automate the complex? How can I remove the unnecessary? How can I make it fun again? Something's not working here. Better outcome, shorter route, improved system. All thanks to being lazy. So, back to that egg from the beginning. That fragility we spoke about, right? That's the same as fear, self-doubt, laziness, insert weakness here. Right? They all seem like weaknesses until we change the perspective from which we're looking at them. And then we can see that they have a strength, they have a purpose. Right? There's a reason that they exist. And in the whole lead up to this event, right, even on the stage right now, I felt all three of these things. Right? I doubted myself whether I was interesting enough or had enough experience to give a talk to a room full of people. Right? I was lazy to learn an entire talk off by heart. And I've been nervous and scared this whole time standing on stage. But my self-doubt helped me clarify why I'm even doing this. Right? And I realized I'm not trying to impress people. I'm not trying to sound interesting. I'm just trying to share a story with other human beings. My laziness meant that I cut out all of the complexity of my talk, which made it a lot easier to remember. And my fear has helped me stay really present. So fear can sharpen, self-doubt can clarify, and laziness can innovate. Now, before I close, I want you to take a moment and think about a time in your life where you felt incredibly scared, full of self-doubt, or really lazy. Do you still feel that right now? Are you in that state right now? Unless it was really fresh or really recent, the answer is probably no. And it's in moments like these that we have really great opportunities to start that mindset shift, right? Because you're not going to do it in the heat of the moment, right? No sane human being is going to feel panicked and scared and just be able to flick a switch, right? But it's in this rest state where we can reflect, think about what was that weakness, right? How could it have been a strength? How can I recognize it the next time it comes up? And what can I do differently? And even if it's a 1% shift, right, that's how we start making those mindset shifts. As you can tell, I love geeking out about this kind of stuff. And in freelancing in general, I love conversations. I'm a storyteller, and I love hearing stories. So that's my LinkedIn. Please do connect with me. Tell me you were at this talk or at Freelance Unlocked, and I'd love to continue chatting with all of you. And if you remember nothing else, right, if the entire talk is just a wash by the end of this, then I hope you can take this away. Clarity, or a clearer, sharper focus, doesn't mean ignoring fear. Clarity and confidence don't mean erasing self-doubt. And innovation or inspiration sometimes starts with a little bit of laziness. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I didn't introduce you, but I'm back at that stage. And since we have 5 more minutes within your speech, my question is, does anyone here within our audience, do you want to ask a question right away? Is there anything that still, inspired you, or you would like to, maybe share your experiences? Is there anyone? Wonderful. The good news is today we have a microphone. We didn't yesterday, so please go ahead.
I'm curious if you have any tools or routines in your everyday life where you practice this.
Yeah, so you will have to find the stuff that works for you. I think that the tricky thing with mindset, and I'm a big advocate for just because it worked for me doesn't mean if it doesn't work for you that it's wrong, right? It's just finding a method that works. But I mean, a few things that have really worked for me, especially with the uncomfortable weaknesses, right? Is trying to put myself into semi-uncomfortable situations more often. So, I mean, I did one of those 10-hour-a-day meditation retreats, right? And that's one extreme, right? But even going to a sauna and doing 3 minutes extra when it's really hot, right? When you want to step out, just try another 10 seconds. See how that feels. And the more we get used to this feeling of discomfort in other things, because it's all transferable, right? Biologically and physiologically, the response is the same. So I think trying to find moments of light discomfort, right? And sauna's a great one, because it's not, I don't know, I love saunas, right? So you always get something out of it. But those types of things, I think, are really great ways to practice. So it doesn't have to be put yourself into a moment of fear to practice it. You can just get used to discomfort in other ways. Or a great one, if your sock rolls in your shoe, right? Don't change it immediately. Just see what happens if you walk another 10 meters. You'll see that everything's fine.
Well, that's a takeaway for me, because that's exactly what I did on my way here. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Do we have anyone else willing to ask a question, share an experience?
Otherwise, I'm here the whole of today, so we can chat if something comes up later.
Wonderful. Make sure to use this opportunity to connect with this amazing human being. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Do I need to do this?